Okay, it looks like we're live back on YouTube. And yeah, I feel a bit embarrassed actually. I put a message out earlier on my YouTube channel saying, hey, I'm going to be live at 6. I looked at my clock and I thought, shit, I'm supposed to be live. So I don't know if anyone tuned in earlier, but I'm here now, and I apologize if you've been waiting for a little while. God, just drinking a load of fizzy water. Anyway, I just had a nice Christmas, hey, and went to see my dad and stuff, and yeah, I like it that I could, when I was younger, I had so many dramas with my dad, and as you do, some pretty heavy, and but I can really feel love for him now and hang out with him, go out for food and stuff, and yeah, it was cool. It's kind of what's the word? I can't quite think of the word, but it's very, liberating somewhere to see that, deep life trauma, deep issues from childhood can be released, and maybe not everything's perfect, but you can still be really, really functional with someone who's, maybe, done a lot in your childhood, maybe that you didn't like at the time. I'm kind of learning this stuff, I think, since I've been working more on the male side in the last year or two, and also seeing the value, of trauma in a sense. For a long while I was very much, I find it very distinct, the kind of way that the male side of the brain and the female side of the brain, so to speak, look at trauma, look at childhood. The female side of the brain wants to have a perfect childhood with good parents and nice stuff, not too much trauma or horrible things happening, and a very nourishing and loving environment. And of course, for a long time I totally saw that as being the best, and nothing could really compare to that. But then the male side of the brain is more saying, well, whatever shit you've been through, that's going to take you deeper, in a sense. If you don't have the kick from trauma, if you don't have the shit happen to you, how are you going to go deep in your life? And I think somewhere in the world we're seeing that played out a little bit in the dynamic of our world between, say, the kind of liberal changes of the world who want to make everything nicer, more gentle and relaxed, and less conflict and drama. And then at the same time, it seems like somewhere we have not really truly released the need for the conflict and the drama. And so it just finds a way to come back in. And my take on that is then, well, there's still stuff to be processed. So, we need to continue with our therapeutic journeys and just keep moving deeper inside ourselves. One of the great things about kind of deep therapeutic work is once you've decided, like, okay, I'm going to do it. Okay, I'm going to do it. Once you've decided that, stuff starts to change spontaneously. Whilst you're in this phase of shall I, shan't I, or you're still in, hopefully not still totally in denial, I'm totally fine. But like once you've come out of that and when you're in this, there's the denial phase, there's nothing wrong with me, I'm fine. And then there's the, shall I address what's going on inside or what's happened in my childhood, or shall I not, back and forth. And hopefully at some point you get to, okay, let's do it. Let's jump into some deeper therapeutic process work and do it. And when you take that jump, a lot changes just from the very action of taking that jump, of actually really, honestly committing inside yourself and saying, okay, now is the time when I need to clear up the shit from my childhood, when I need to get the holding patterns out, when I need to get my attitude better, when I need to, be able to move forwards positively, going for what I want. And, when you can do that, when you can take that position, then you've kind of primed yourself for change. And I see it in people. I came to a point, when I was about 39, 40, when I kind of knew, okay, I've been fucking around for a long time. I've been putting it off for a long time. Now I have to get out there and do some therapy. I didn't even know what that meant at the time. I didn't know what therapy really was, sort of have visions of someone sitting on a couch talking to some old bloke like Sigmund Freud or something. Or whatever, it didn't turn out to be much like that. Staying up half the night screaming and shouting in group rooms and things like this, going into all the primal trauma and also having good times as well, having good times with it. But once that commitment's come, then a lot of change can happen. until that commitment comes, it's very, very hard, And so I've been quite busy with this in the last couple of months, looking, how do we create a situation where people, hey, feel like, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to, where you've come to the point where all your back doors, all your escape routes, and you want actually the support just to go deeper. So if you have a question anyway around this whole scene or whatever's going on for you, feel free to put it out. People increasingly kind of, write me questions and email me questions and stuff. And I tell them to come on the live stream and put it out, because otherwise it's too much typing for me, and too much. You get involved in long, mindy discussions about stuff. And really, you need a little bit of mind and a little bit of thinking about things, but not so much. Not so much. Okay, looks like someone's giving me a question. Tiemo, hi. Hey, Tiemo. Harris. Hey, Devaraj. Hey, man. I have a question, Tiemo. What actually happening when the tremor shaking is starting? I haven't found any lecture about it. When I do it so often, can I damage my body? I mean, when this kind of spontaneous shaking or spontaneous release is happening, there's a couple of different theories. You've got a dominant kind of spiritual theory, which calls it Kundalini, that the base chakra, your perineum, basically around between your genitals and your asshole, has this huge store of energy inside of it. And at some point it opens and, your body comes to life. I think there's validity in that theory, but often it's not useful for people, is what I see. They go on long spiritual mind trips with it. So the kind of way of interpreting it I look at because I work with a lot of people with spontaneous shaking, and I do talk about this stuff. How I look at it is, it's more that the muscles are they've had enough. They've had enough of repression and they want to get stuff out. And this kind of spontaneous trembling or spontaneous movement, or for many people, they can stop it, but they don't want to stop it because it feels so good to get the release. This kind of release thing is from the muscles being oversaturated with stuff, and most people are, with holding patterns, and they want to release. Or certain parts of a body try to create a spontaneous kind of shaking, almost like a wave, trying to just get all the crap out of the system. And so things to understand when you're getting, a lot of shaking is that your body is trying to release. Your unconscious mind is trying to release. And the thing to do is to get on board with it, to start to look, also psychologically, what's going on in my life? Where did I get traumatized or wounded? Where did I create holding in my body? And to look, how can I come to workshops? How can I get out there, do a bit of work on myself and make use of it to move it on? I get a lot of people contact me with spontaneous shaking, and this is my best take on it so far. You need to recognize that a part of you is really trying to release. It's really trying to let go, and then say, okay, how from a conscious level, because the conscious mind is just a tiny little bit at the top, in many ways, okay, how do I get that part of me on board with it? How do I get it on board? How do I, go deeper with this? How can I really get some release going? Because often what happens in people's lives is something is trying to move out, the conscious mind is trying to hold it in, and they're caught in this kind of back and forth dynamic. It's not so satisfying to live like that. It's not so satisfying, So when I do it so often, can I damage my? I'd have to kind of meet you to give a better judgment, or do a session on video or something like that, 1-to-1 sometime, to really give a proper answer. But I never heard of anyone really damaging themselves from spontaneous shaking. I guess the main risk is obviously the same with, if it's really so spontaneous that you don't have control over it from your mind, that you could hurt yourself doing it, fall over, fall off something, or whatever. I've not met anyone that I can recall that really was in that category. Sure, if you have seizures or fits, they can be damaging. You can hurt yourself having a petit-mal, grand mal seizure or whatever. But with spontaneous shaking, I haven't really known of anyone. I'm trying to think back, because a lot of people come to my workshops who've got this stuff going on, and they're interested in bioenergetics because it helps to get it out. But I haven't found anyone who could really damage their body with it. So I think unless you kind of fall over doing it, I don't think it has any kind of problems. And that's my opinion from working in this area. I'm not, some qualified medic. So I'm just giving you my opinion. Harris, I hope that's useful, Chemo. Hey, Devaraj, question. I'm not in a country where I can access therapy. Do you think I can still make steps forward in practicing bondages myself, or is it just surface level? No, you can make steps, man. You can make steps, make steps. No worries. You can also look for whatever is available in your country, either in terms of some places have like religious belief systems where there is some level of release in it. Gibberish is found in Arab countries and Sufis and that kind of thing. So you can make use of what's there. If there is something there, I don't know where you're from. You could tell me, and I can maybe think of something. But certainly a lot of countries aren't so enlightened in terms of therapy, but there may be religious systems around which have got something in there which you could benefit from. And you can also practice bioenergetics. The main thing when you're doing a lot of work on your own is you need to be able to call your own bullshit. I've given a few talks on this over the last year in particular, because a lot of people want to work on their own, and that's okay. A lot of people don't have the option to come to groups, so they don't have the money to fly in and that kind of thing. So it's okay, You can definitely make good steps. It just goes faster when you can get into the group room, and you can find out places where you're not doing it, where you're not maybe getting quite the position right, or you can go deeper, where you can do emotional expression exercises, which aren't so easy on your own, to be honest. So by no means does it have to be just surface level. No. If there's any way you can ever get over to do a group or two, that's great to support you. But it doesn't just mean that if you're working on your own, it's surface. Don't believe that stuff. Don't believe that. It's not superficial at all. You just need to get some experience, maybe do a Skype session working with the bow and the arch, make sure you've got the position exactly right, and then work with that daily as a baseline. A lot can shift from a bow and the arch. And the main reason for that is that because so much holding is around the shoulders and the lower back. And that pair of exercises works both those areas. But you need to know exactly how to do it right, and you need to really stick at it. And you need to stick at it most when you really don't want to fucking do it. When your mind has got a whole reason of, a whole backlog of reasons, excuses why you shouldn't do it. And that's the time you most need to do it. And once you can develop that kind of discipline, then you can move a lot. So look also, if you're disciplined, most people have not got so much discipline in today's world. They don't have it, We live in a very comfort-based world. There's a lot of comfort stuff around. So look, what can I do to improve my discipline? Sometimes physical exercise is useful. I was listening to that ex-Navy SEAL guy, David Coggins, I think his name is, tall black guy, he's been through an incredible life, Listen to guys like that, listen to the guys, and they tell you stories about the stuff they've had to commit to, listen to guys like that. Jocko Willink is another good guy, inspirational speaker, ex-Marine Corps, some United States high up in the system, talks about a thing called extreme ownership. You can take extreme ownership of the stuff you're carrying around inside. Look for people who can motivate you, and you can get inspiration from YouTube. You can get that. I get inspiration from listening to these guys. Think, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to do it. So that you can commit to something on your own. And then, nothing has to be on the surface. You can go very deep. Harry says, which guy? Sorry, a couple of guys. Let me just mention them. I think the tall guy, I think his name is David. I'll have to look that up. What's his bloody name? It's gone out of my... It's a funny kind of name like Coggy or Groggy. I should remember it. Let me just see if I can... Can't find him. It's gone out of my brain. Him and Jocko Willink. Dave... Those are a couple of guys that you can look up. You can look up and see. Check Joe Rogan. He's interviewed both of them, I think. Interviewed with Dave Guy quite a few times. Look for something inspiring, and then use that energy to do the bioenergetics, to do it daily, to commit, and to get a daily practice going. I hope that helps, man. Just do it. That's the bottom line. Just got to do it. Don't listen to too much blah blah from your mind. I did a video not long ago about stirred a few people up about, robots taking over. And I said, well, it could be good, because from my perspective, working with people, training and therapy, I mean, most people are fucking awful, and they're not fucking awful. In a bad way, but it's like, I see it in my own psyche. When you need to commit, they don't commit. If you had a robot kicking your ass every fucking day, I mean, you wouldn't need me so much. You wouldn't need to pay me. Wouldn't need me so much. Okay, let me have a look. Someone else is chatting me. TMO, yeah. I just do the bow and arch and then the elephant. I'm not sure what the elephant is. After that, I recognised that was my fear to die that started coming up. I have a ban of energetic fetishes and I had the same as you said. Not quite sure. When the pain, I just stopped the exercise. Stay with the pain. Okay, well, you got to look. If you're in a lot of physical pain, you got to be careful, okay? So one thing to do, you're in a bioenergetic pose and you've got a feeling of pain. Is it emotional pain or is it physical pain or is it a mixture of both? Look at that. Most people in my experience can tell. You know if something's more emotional or more physical. If it's physical, you need to be a little bit careful. You don't push yourself too hard, you know? Maybe hang back or find a different way to approach. You know, when you've been doing an exercise for a long time and you say you're working with a therapist, that's great. You know, when you're working with a therapist, it can go that you at some point really need to confront and go deeper with certain exercises, which will cause quite a lot of physical pain as they open the body up deeper. But that's quite a long way down the road. You know, that can be like that. But you have to get into it, you know, doing the arch position for like half an hour or something like that, you know. But that's advanced shit, you know. You can clear a lot before you get to that kind of level. And by then you'll have a lot more body awareness, or you'll have very high body awareness. So first of all, look, if it's emotional pain, then be with it and feel it. Stay in the pose, keep feeling your body, keep feeling what's going on emotionally. If it's physical, keep feeling it, but just be a little bit, you know, do a little bit careful. Check in with your therapist, what's actually going on, and check in. Is there something emotional that's going on, or is it more physical? You can also let me know. If it's emotional, stay with it, you know, unless it's so overwhelming that it's really spinning you out. You know, I did a video earlier today, just put it up actually, about mental health and psychosis, in fact. And, you know, then you can see when something's really spinning you out and you're leaving your body. Also, if it's too much like that, then it's also not useful. Remember, you know, to commit to something over a longer period, like a year, is far more useful than just doing the odd big session. You know, if you can commit to something for a year and ideally do a few groups in that time, a lot of change can happen. A lot of change can happen. Okay, cool, guys. It's bugging me now. I gotta try and think of this guy's name, David. The guy, no, that's not him. Determination. Yes, it is. David Coggins. David Coggins. Look him up. He's an inspirational guy to listen to, you know. He's been through, I was listening to him talking about, I did all these 100-mile runs, and you just think, when he was literally nearly fucking dying, his whole body is literally falling apart, and he's like, fuck it, I'm going to complete this, you know, extreme shit. But, you know, you need a bit of that kind of energy, not that you're going to hurt yourself physically, but you need a bit of that kind of energy if you're going to maintain working on your own, and you can do it, but you need to develop that commitment. And that kind of, you know, when you see what comes from commitment, then you'd be surprised how much change any individual could make, you know. And it's true, you know, when you look at people, when you're my kind of age and you've been in this scene a while, you look at people, there is so much potential locked up inside someone. And you know, fuck, if you can start to get your hands on that, you can go to the fucking moon, man. You can go to the moon. Nothing's stopping you, but all the things what are blocks are internal, and yet, you know, most guys that come to workshops, and I was the same when I was in my 20s and 30s, are like low self-esteem, and all the other guys get the girls and get their jobs and blah blah, and I can't do it because of this, I can't do it because of that. Load of fucking shit. All you need to do is really take yourself on, and it will all change. It will change. Another guy I listened to a bit, though, I'm not totally, Dan Locke, another guy, he's a good guy to listen to if you're into business or selling and that kind of thing. And he was saying differences between rich and poor people. I enjoyed, he did a video on that, and I enjoyed it. Two that stuck out for me were rich people never watch TV, they read books. It's true, you know. Powerful people, successful people do not watch TV. They don't, it drains your brain, basically. They read books. Maybe the odd little bit now and again is not going to kill you, but they don't basically sit around watching TV. And also, successful or rich people don't blame. You don't blame anyone. Take responsibility yourself. And just those two things, you know, if you stick with those for a year, your life is going to be in a fuck of a sight better shape. And I'm not just talking to you guys on the thing, but to anyone watching this, if you just stick with those two things, cut your TV right down and stop blaming. And at the same time, take up the bioenergetics, take up stuff that can help to process some of the emotions that come up, because those things are ways that we switch ourselves off and stop ourselves being really present with ourselves. We have to watch TV for 4 hours and sit there like that, And yes, some of the channels are good these days and entertaining. I don't have a television, but people tell me these things. And but actually you're much better off without it, But it's important that it's in the world to challenge us, and also so that those who have really got the desire can get to the top. Because it actually doesn't matter so much what you're born with, how tall you are, how good looking you are, how intelligent you are. Those things actually are relatively minor. Everything that you need to be successful, you can learn. Everything that you need to be successful, you can learn. It's as simple as that. That is the truth. And the belief that it isn't is mostly your mind bullshitting you because you don't want the challenge. Simple as that. Simple as that. I should write that down. Everything you need to be successful, you can learn. The elephant is the opposite of a bow. Lean forward. Okay, they call it. I've never heard it called never heard it called the elephant before. Interesting. Yeah, no. Often I heard the ground reach. We call it the arch often in the school I learned from. But greets from Germany. Cool, man. Great. Yeah, Germany's a good place for bioenergetics. There's quite a few therapists there. Very practical kind of people. Germans are sensible, and they can, they know that this stuff is good. There's always good therapists for body work in Germany. That's cool, man. Anyway, okay. So anybody else watching then, and you got a question sitting there in your mind, feel free to put it out. Put it out. It's okay. It's okay. Maybe you've been. This is a good time of year. A lot of businesses, they don't really do so good in January, February. It's kind of dead. But in this kind of motivational therapy thing, January and February can be pretty good because people get to New Year and they've just been stuffing themselves rigid for the last week or 2 weeks or something, with food. And they get to New Year and think, fuck it, I've got to sign up for something. Same as gyms, Gyms are rammed in January, rammed in January, and February down a bit. March, get to May, there's no fucker in there. You got it all to yourself. But in this kind of field, then January and February are actually good months, really. It's curious, one of those curious traits of a therapy business, getting people out there. Lorenzo D, what do you mean being on top? Where did I say that? Just about really getting your shit together? Just now about really getting what I was saying. If you mean that, then I'm trying to think if I said something else which could be interpreted as that. But basically, if you really want to have a good life and be successful, there's basic steps you can take, and you can do it. It's very, very little to do with your upbringing, your trauma level, your parents. It's very little to do with that kind of thing. Basically, that's it. Maybe if you meant something different, Lorenzo, just put that out and I'll answer that. But if you meant that, then that's what I meant. JW86 what kind of training and growth was needed to get to a point of being a bioenergetic therapist? I mean, the reality is, because there aren't many trainings out there for bioenergetic therapists. And a lot of it's a bit old these days, from old Reichian stuff, which people aren't so interested in, Basically, you need to really work on yourself and get keen about it, and get turned on to it. That's the bottom line, because that's what you need to transmit in the group room or working with clients. You've got to have that passion and excitement for life, and you get that from bioenergetics. You get it from doing it every morning, doing something to move your stuff every morning. So that you always know you can wake up in the morning and you could be hungover or in the worst fucking mood about anything, but you can do something to bring your energy up, get your body clear and move it. And really, that is the main thing that you need. Given that there aren't so many big trainings out there, that's the main thing you need, so that you can walk into a group room and start to relate to people, be yourself, and motivate them and move them in a way that's natural for you, and then you'll find the clients who want to work with you. That's the main thing. And of course, on a technical level, you need to know a certain level about exercises, what works for different areas of the psyche. I mean, these days, there's not such a tight correlation. That's in the old days, we were very objective back in the 50s and 60s, and everyone wanted to know, okay, so I've got issues with my dad, whereabouts in the body is that? Or issues being too weak and never standing up for myself, whereabouts in the body is that? But there's more recognition now that things are distributed around. And whilst there's general areas you can work, you know, it's not a tight thing that you can learn like in a school somewhere. So, you know, yes, you need to do a bit of technical learning, but otherwise, you know, get your energy moving and be a turn on in life so that when you want to, you can really turn people onto something. You know, you can turn it on at will. You know, I'm not like this. I don't, when these people see me in the group room and they say, God, you got so much energy. How do you keep going? And whatever, you know, I'm not like that all the time. You know, if I don't need to be some huge turn on, why am I going to, there's no need for me to charge around doing it all the time. You know, it's not, why bother? You know, it's a challenge maybe, but you know, so that's the main thing. You know, that's the main thing. And a lot of therapists, they don't fucking have that. So if you can develop that, it's great. You know, I actually disagree. I mean, you do need some level in all of these different therapies. You do need some level of training and stuff, but the technical skills, but it's not that much. It's mostly who you are and how you can project yourself. That's how I see it personally. You know, and if I create, and I do sometimes tell people, you know, I've been to my classes a few times, time for you to start teaching people, man. Time for you to start teaching people. I always say to people, if I think they're ready, you know, if I think they're ready, I say, okay, now you've got to go out there and teach. You know, ears a little blocked. My girlfriend had a cold and I got the cold, but it hasn't really come on so much. I have it, the cold showers in the morning, and it just seems to drive it away, basically. Shock treatment. Okay, guys, so if anyone else has got a question, do feel free to put it out. Thanks. Okay, I hope that's useful, ma'am or lady, depending. JW86. I hope that's useful. But you know, you can do it, is the bottom line. You can do it. It's Jack. Okay, cool. Nice, Jack. Anyway, it might be Jack who's messaged me, maybe, I'm not sure. But anyway, you know, you can do it. You know, I know I say it all the time. People say it, you're always saying that all the time, but it's true. We need to kind of reprogram our mind a lot, you know. I was doing this video about the robots and people were kind of, you know, a bit, but underneath it, you know, there's a very serious point in that anyone can have a much better life than they're currently having, but they just need a bit of support and they need to learn to motivate themselves and have a bit of discipline. And that's all you really need. And over time, huge improvements and changes can be made. Huge. You know, you ain't going to get it on the national health. Governments aren't turned onto it. They don't know about this stuff, but it is out there. It is out there, and you can get the support you need and do it. And mostly what it is taking on the negativity of the mind, the way we've learned, you know, and coming out of the old patterns of blame. For years, I was a blamer, you know, big into conspiracy theories. Bottom line of a conspiracy theory is someone else's fault. It's someone else's fault, you know. That's the bottom line. And, you know, you got to look if you're really taking too many of those things on board. What's the payoff for you? That you never move your fucking ass. It's always someone else's fault, the Illuminati or whatever. Of, you know, it's a reason you can't get a bloody job or something. You know, it's a joke. You know, it's a joke. It's child behavior at some point. Okay, guys, let's see if there's any more questions. I'm looking forward this year to. I'm going to be moving down to Brighton out of the community here. I'll still be here a couple of days a week. 2-3 days, but I'll be about 4 days a week, hopefully, in Brighton. And that, for me, is like to keep challenging myself with putting myself out and, you know, creating more content, getting people to commit to workshops, really creating great workshops where people can come, particularly men in their 20s and 30s is where I've been working a lot recently, can really come and step up and really get some power and beauty going in their lives, you know. I see a lot of guys a bit stranded somewhere, but there's very little going on for them in society if you don't want to work for minimum wage and you get wasted with your paycheck every Friday, you know, which is what I did for 20 years. But a lot of guys I see these days, you know, they want to step up and do something different, and I want to create the space using my experience to support them, and also so they can meet each other a bit, because it's tough being a guy sometimes. All you got surrounded by is all these other guys that want to bitch at you and take bits out of you, and you can't. It doesn't support you to open at all. You know. Yes, we're competitive at that age, but there's other aspects to masculinity apart from mindless competitiveness and bitching at each other. And so I am turned on, you know, to just look and see what can I do. And the first part of that will certainly be Project Man, which is coming, which is the first one's in Brighton, the first weekend of Brighton. And that will be an all-male space where we will work quite deep with bioenergetics and emotional expression to really start to clear stuff out. You know, there's a lot of guys talking about it on YouTube, but very, very few workshops where you can really go and do it. So I'm going to start bringing that in, big time in 2019, and hopefully we can get some bit of a team together and get some stuff moving for men. One of the interesting things I noticed about it was that, when I chat to guys about it, particularly older guys, because I'm running a few men's groups already, they're really up for supporting. There's something in tribal society I was reading, it was always the role of the tribal elders to bring young men into their masculinity, and that's kind of gone now. Everyone takes the piss out of the father. There's no tribal elders. No one knows. And the guys are just left to kind of fend, young guys just left to fend for themselves. But still there in the older male psyche is this desire to come together and support men, to really step up, to support young guys in their 20s or teenage years or older if necessary, to really step up, in an all male space. So it's interesting, quite a few guys are like, yeah, wow, I want to assist on that, because I know a lot of people with good group room experience, and that's what you need for assistance. So older men with that. Andromeda Surfer. Hi, Devaraj. Are you coming to Colombia or Belgium? If I'm invited, I come. Yeah, if there's some people there who are up for it, and I get my expenses paid, then I'm happy to come out and teach. Those places are quite far apart from each other. I have been to Belgium a couple of times. I've never been to Colombia or South America at all, actually. But, and there are therapists around, in Brazil, there's bioenergetics in a place called Porto Alegre in the south. And there are people around, but Latin America, South Americans like bioenergetics. There's more of it in South America than there is in Europe. Germany is probably the main exception in Europe where you get a bit. Also, a little bit in the Mediterranean countries, Spain and Italy, you get a bit. So, check out for it. But also, I'm available and I'm around. I've got certain commitments each year. Workshops I'm already running, but I'm absolutely up for coming out and teaching and getting some stuff together. So just message me privately sometime if you're serious and there's something you want to discuss, and we can go from there and see if it's doable. I want to get guys together to start to work on their stuff. It's too much talking and thinking, and it just feels like inside of me it's ready. Men are ready to really step the fuck up, and we'll have a bit of an experiment with doing some workshops and see if I can create a really good format that gets it tight so that men can really step into their power and drop some of the bullshit from the past and just be real and honest and really get what they want in life. Okay, guys. Any other questions? Got a few people watching. It's not my usual day. It was Christmas Day on Tuesday, so I didn't do that. But I think this Tuesday, New Year's Day, I'm planning to at the moment. I'm not too busy, so I think I will. I'm going to Dublin on the Wednesday, but Tuesday evening I'm here, so 6 p.m. I think I'll do. Mankind Project also good. Mankind Project is also good. I haven't done Mankind Project. I found it a little bit expensive, but I think what the work they do is excellent. And my work's a little bit more therapeutic in a sense. They set up situations. I know that quite a lot of my friends that did Mankind Project and did the basic stuff. They set up situations, and then you also look at the past, and it's great. My work's a little bit more on the kind of let's really step the fuck up side as a man, and get our shit going well. It's not so much uncovering the past in the sense that when you work directly with the body and the muscle system, you don't always have to go into the past so much, and it can suit younger people more to do that because they're up for the physical stuff, and it's not that it's physically super challenging, but it's got physical elements to it. Pedro, on your opinion, what is a good morning routine to start with bioenergetics? I'd recommend something like the belly activation from my YouTube series or the bow and arch. Those two are great. To get, for guys in particular, to get energy moving in your gut is really, that's your male side. It's your male side, and you don't have to be down in your gut all the time, but that you can access that is important for a lot of areas of your life. It's very important. And in sexuality, it's important. If you want to have polarity in sexuality, if you're a guy who just wants to find women who are like men, fair enough. That's what you want to do. You don't need it so much. But if you like the polarity of sexuality and the energy and chemistry, or you don't want to be, or you want to have that side, then open up the gut center, get it moving. So you've got this energy and power down in your belly, and you can do a lot with that. That's a great morning stuff to do. Lorenzo, why only men? Well, I do workshops with women also, with men and women also, but I've just been recently, you have to follow your own inner kind of intuition. And for me, at the minute, I am looking to try and really get something going for young guys, because I think they're let down by society a lot. Personally, I think there's increasing numbers of young men who really want to step the fuck up, but they have very little support to do it. And without any support, yes, 1 in a million can really do it, you know, but they're just kind of incredible and they can just do it, you know. But the reality is that anyone can do it, but they do need a level of support and a level of commitment, you know. Lastly, do you know any good resources in the UK that work around sexuality, tantra, in an embodied way, working through trauma in that context? Well, there's a lot of people around working like that, you know. The bottom line is with tantra, I mean, pretty much, having been in the tantra scene a lot and running sexuality festivals, there's a lot of teachers around, but you know, tantra is a word that covers an awful lot of bases. For most people, it means they're probably going to get, their assumption is that they're going to get sexuality put in there, or that the reality really is like, I mean, Jan Day is I would say is a good teacher in that field. You can look up Jan Day and her husband Frida. They're nice people. I personally think it's a little bit, if you want to work with the trauma, you know, come for workshops here. If you're in the UK, come for workshops here, come for the Leader Life training or the 7-day intensive, because like all the stuff I run is awareness based, and that is what will really work in the longer run. You know, going into, I'm running like a 7-day sexuality awareness group. It's called Sensuality and Sexuality in June, basically mid-June. And that will book up heavily. We've only got 36 places on it. But that's 7 days to really get into what's going on in your love life and sexuality and develop awareness of it. What I tend to object to in Tantra a lot is it goes a lot into spirituality, and often the people have got a lot of social stuff that's going on, but they're not really addressing, you know, and it just comes out sideways. It just comes out sideways. So, you know, I think it's good to work in a more therapeutic context, but you can work with sexuality in a therapeutic context. Drop me a line sometimes, Jack, if you want to discuss it. But I've got some good stuff coming up in the new year here at Leela, where you know you can work with sexuality. There'll be a gender balance group called Sensuality and Sexuality. It's already booking up heavily, but that'll be a good one. And also other stuff. We can chat. Andromeda Services, thank you so much. No worries, man. Pedro, thanks, but I don't get much out of the belly activation. Do you think I should continue to do it? I mean, if it's not happening, it's not happening, you know. You could work with a bow and arch for a while, work with shoulder release and stuff for a while. I'm going to do a video soon about you know, opening up the shoulders more, you know, as challenge 15-minute challenge exercise. I'll try and get it together to do that in the next few days and put that online. You don't have to work with a belly activation if it's not really pulling you or doing it for you. Get into the bow and arch, learn the position exactly right, pucker, so you really know it and you can give yourself feedback on it. You know, learn the position really right. There's a bow and arch masterclass video there, and be tough on yourself, not hard on yourself, but call yourself when you're not really doing it properly. Call yourself out, you know, and give that a try. Give that a try. Check in Tuesday if you like, or another Q&A, and we can discuss a little bit more, Pedro. Because it's good you ask questions, and it's good that everyone asks questions, because a lot of people watch this stream later, and even maybe a year later, people watch the streams and say, hey, that was really great, but that guy asked that question, that woman asked that question, because it really supported me, you know. So it's good to put out questions. I got a couple of minutes left. If you got any last ones, then go, yeah. Chat to you soon about. Cool, man. Go for it. Kundalini yoga, yes, cool. Kundalini yoga's okay. I did a few sessions of it. I mean, again, it's like, it's not, you know, it's got therapeutic content in it, but it's more set into a spiritual framework. If that's what's going on around you, you know, if there's a lot of Kundalini yoga, it can be good, and it can be fucking challenging, hey? It can be fucking challenging as well, Yogi Bhajan stuff. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But what I like about the awareness-based work is that it always goes deeper. You know, there's always deeper layers. And then, you know, your life gets better and better and better. And there's always more if you want it. There's always more if you want it to go deeper. Okay, guys. I think I'm going to leave it for this week. And I'll be back hopefully on Tuesday at 6 p.m. UK time. Thanks very much for tuning in. Feel free to like and subscribe and all that stuff. And I'll say to you, what about hyperoxygenation of the body? Yeah, I mean, you mean like people doing this rapid breath techniques? It's okay, you know, as long as if it's giving you some release, if it's working for you. Rebirthing is great. I'm going to do a rebirthing MP3 soon, an audio track for rebirthing, because a lot of people are asking me for it. Because they've been to my rebirthing sessions, and I tried recording one once, but the recording got fucked up and it wasn't good enough. So I'm going to just sit down and talk through a whole hour and a quarter long session sometime, complete with body scan and intro and stuff, and then people can really get into some, because there's no good rebirthing. The one I use sometimes when I want to use a recording or want someone else to run a session is called the quantum light breath. It's very, very old, and it's rusty as fuck, and the old music, and it's kind of awful and all copyrighted and probably not allowed to use it anymore. But like, what it does have is the constant reminder, which is what you need in a proper rebirthing CD. I've never found another one which is as good, so I'm going to make my own. Anyway, guys, good to check in with you. Keep doing it. Keep believing in yourself. You can do it. Speak to you later. Do you remember the artist? Last bit. Yes, he's called Jeru Kabal. Let me just write that down. You'll find him. I'm sure it's not his real name. Okay, guys, over and out, and speak to you on Tuesday.